Growing up autistic must have been difficult. What were some of those challenges that you faced?
One of the challenges I definitely faced was school. School life was a little bit of a challenge in some cases. I did take, I'm not necessarily happy to say this, but I did take special ed classes, elementary school, middle school, and high school. Middle school was probably like the lowest point, because it was at a time when I was picked on. It was a time when, because of that, I had thoughts of suicide. I didn't, thank God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was one of those it was just one of those feelings where it just felt like it was made no better by life itself at that point in time.
Okay. Well.
But one of the other challenges I had was like some of the, I forget what it was I was like struggling with, but I think the biggest one that I remember struggling with, I think the lowest point was probably 7th grade for some reason. I can't really remember why.
Right.
But it had something to do with the fact that I don't know what it was, but all I know is that math above, like pre-algebra and above, I suck at that.
Right.
I suck at that. I'm terrible. I mean, regular mathematics is something I can handle just fine. But, God.
Anything higher?
I'm like looking at this thing and I'm like, oh, you have got to be flipping kidding me.
Right.
Okay, maybe if one wants to be a scientist, a mathematician, okay, fair enough.
Right.
Or wants to deal in economics, fine with me.
Okay.
So that was, one of the challenges, I think school life was probably like the biggest challenge at that point in time, because, I don't think like normal people do.
Right.
I don't know, they think that, well, and I think the one thing I actually said to them back when in middle school, I don't know if anyone's ever used this phrase, but I'm guessing I coined this one, is that I may be autistic, but I'm not stupid.
Right.
And so
you're far from stupid. You're very...
Exactly.
Your mind works at a different pace.
Yeah.
Did you take any kind of drama course in high school? And if so, what were the highlights of that?
Yes, I did. I only took one back in my senior year in high school. The reason why I took that was because back when I first met Richard Alvarez around that time, when we were getting to know each other, he said that why he took creative writing was because he wanted to learn, to do good writing, especially for scripts and etc.
Right.
And then he said before that why he took drama was because he told me that part of directing is acting, and that was when I realized that I wanted to go into filmmaking, and so I realized myself, then I'll take drama. So I took that, and one of the biggest highlights, there were like a lot of highlights. Okay, for instance, my teacher was unlike any other I ever had before, because up to that point, she was the only female teacher that looked pretty dang cute.
Right.
From kindergarten to my senior year, I never once had a female teacher that looked anywhere near that. I mean, she looked like she was only like maybe 3 years older than me, but in actuality she was only like 8 years older than me. And that was a pretty highlight from the start. I'm like, whoa. One of the highlights I had was we had this kind of variety thing for like one of our little projects, and we had to like do this little dramatic bit. And one of the things I was always having a tough time with the rehearsal was like anytime like the guy was supposed to come up and say something really dramatic,
right?
And I was supposed to like "no do I" or something like that, straight faced. Rehearsal, I was always kind of like cracking like this,
right?
Because it's always tricky. I mean, this is like why I don't see myself being very keen as a stage actor as opposed to a screen actor,
right? But
I don't know how, but on the day itself, live itself, I didn't crack.
Right.
I don't know how that happened, but it happened.
Right.
So I think for me that was a big highlight, and then another highlight I had was it was the same project. It was like a little commercial or something like that.
Right.
And they start running in. Actually, so the scenario is like people jogging. They come running at the same time. He's like asking, "Hey, what's that you got there?" Has this water, and I was thinking to myself, "Well, wait a minute. How about you come in two different sides of the stage, come in, and then when you walk up, then you can ask him, because if you're just walking at the same time, it's kind of strikes like, wait, why do you wait till now to ask?"
Right.
So they went along with that, and I'm like, well, there you go, sweet.
Okay. What is one of the things that bothers you most about everyday life?
That this is nowhere near the greatest generation ever, like the generation from World War II.
Right.
Because in many ways, I see myself sort of like an old man in a young man's body.
Okay.
It's probably been that way for as long as I can remember without even knowing it.
Right.
That might explain like my taste in movies, like why it's also old, but it's also new.
Right. Okay.
And but I look at this one and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I feel like I fit in better in the 30s or the 40s.
Right. Who are the people that inspire you most?
I've got a lot of people that inspire me.
Okay.
For as long as for as long as I can remember, that still kind of hold up. It's a mix of filmmakers, actors, artists, and world leaders.
Okay.
Charlie Chaplin,
Uh-huh.
Walt Disney, Don Bluth, Hayao Miyazaki, Jim Henson, Doug Walker, aka the Nostalgia Critic, Louis Lovehog, aka Linkara, Clark Gable, Errol Flynn, Olivia de Havilland, Akira Toriyama, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Winston Churchill, Morgan Freeman, and Cecil B. DeMille. So those are the people that inspire me.
Okay. Do you read very much? And if so, what do you like to read?
I do read every once in a while. Recently, right now I'm currently reading Gone with the Wind, Sherlock Holmes, Upton Sinclair's The Jungle. I've kind of paused on Dante's Inferno for the time being. I did read Eric Clapton's autobiography. I read Lord of the Rings when I was in my teens. I read it twice.
Uh-huh.
The Hobbit I first read it when I was 15. It's still in my library. Aragon and Eldest I read, but Bersinger, I don't know why, I kind of stopped reading at a certain point. I'm not saying it's bad, I've been meaning to like reread it. I'm just like, oh man, that was the fourth one?
Right.
God, Paolini, why?
You're also very artistic. What is your chosen platform of art?
Well, there are three areas that I'm best in.
Okay.
Drawing, painting, as well as ink. Because I ink all my own drawings. I've been drawing for as long as I could remember.
Right.
And when it comes to painting, I actually do watercolors.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I think I just love how the texture, how it looks on the paper, as opposed to oil and acrylic. I think the closest thing to that would probably be gouache, and that one I use every once in a while too. But I don't paint as often as I draw for some reason. I don't know why, but I don't know. Huh. Maybe it's the space or something. I don't know.
You just did a video with me that I directed you in. Did you enjoy working with me? Did I?
Yes.
Okay. And would you like to continue working with me?
Sure.
Because you're a good actor. I think
you.
I can give you enough to go on, and you can take it.
Because I feel like with people that I know or starting to know very well, then I'd say sure, why not? I mean, especially when there's a flexibility to it, and because the way I kind of see it is like, I don't know how it would have felt if I kept on doing works with Rich Alvarez.
Right.
I don't know how that would have been in the long run, because again, like I said, if we'd have done another season, I probably would have been fired because of the whole disputes we were kind of having.
Yeah.
I guess you could say. I usually don't know if that's... it's a good experience to kind of understand that, yeah, you are going to have to deal with people like that at some point.
Right.
And then to deal with someone who's not like that at all, it's a different story. I'm like, there you go. There's some liberties with that.
Right. like I could give you a script and then you could, you know, take
Yeah.
a line that's not working and,
Yeah,
you know, if you make it better.
If there's something that I notice that's not working, and then allow me to do that,
Right.
then that's what I like.
Right. It's not really a dictatorship with working with me. And obviously there must have been some kind of tension.
Well,
you know, between
there was and there wasn't. Again, like I said, it was sort of like the tensions between Harry Truman and Douglas MacArthur,
right.
in terms of like how the Korean War should have been handled, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's my best parable
Uh-huh.
in terms of something like this. I forget what MacArthur had to say about Truman's. I think he says, like, what does Truman mean by calling this a police action?
Right.
Isn't it a fact that the casualties are mounting daily? Or it's the most imbecilic order ever given to a commander in the field. It leaves me with a sense of inexpressible shock. Kind of thing.
Right, right.
So I guess it was like, well, man, maybe it was not meant to be for the long run. I mean,
Right. If Richard ever asked you to be in a video again, would you say yes or would you turn him down?
I wouldn't turn him down flat. I would just say, I'm like, okay, I'm listening.
Okay.
What's it about? Where, when, and who with?
Right.
Kind of thing, that sort of thing. Because I was. Some people have asked me, like, was I in the clicking noise? No, I was not in the clicking noise. I don't know why. Nothing personal. I mean, I have no hard feelings.
Yeah, it's
I don't
nothing
even know
personal.
I don't
It's
know if I wanted to. In that case,
It's just artistic differences.
yes.
What do you want from me as a director to give you as an actor?
Be specific and don't assume anything.
Now, you've come up with some ideas for some of our videos. Are you, you know, happy that I'm actually listening to you?
Yes.
That I'm actually considering, I mean, you know, not considering your ideas. I'm putting a lot of them into the video and you'll get a credit, but
Yes.
Are
it
you
does.
glad that you can't, you know, you can just...
Yes, that there are some liberties with that. That there is a sense of that there is a great sense of versatility.
Right.
Because I'm not one of those people who's just going to stick to just one thing.
Right.
I don't know if I've ever done that in my entire life.
Right.
Kind of thing.
So with the videos that I'm planning, they're definitely not the same thing over and over and over and over again.
I do like to experiment. I'm glad
Yeah.
that I'm, you know, meeting with someone who also likes to experiment with.
Yes. Who is your favorite actor, hands down?
Clark Gable. It's kind of hard not to pick the who was once, you know, christened the king of the movies.
Right.
As far back as, I think, the late 30s, early 40s.
Right.
I mean, I loved him in Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
Mutiny on the Bounty. I think those are the only... Actually, and The Misfits. Those are like the only 3 movies I'd ever seen him in.
Okay. Okay. Well, if I had any more questions, I'd ask you some, but I don't, so...
Nice.